Welcome to the ANEW Insight Podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogram Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. I follow my guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Welcome back, everyone. We are back for the second half of our interview with women's life and transformation coach, international speaker, and best-selling author Rosie Aiello. Rosie gave us some invaluable insight into her inspiration to transform trauma into triumph. And I cannot wait to learn more. Rosie, welcome.
Oh, yes. So good to be here again.
So good to have you. So, as an international speaker and coach, what patterns do you see in the way culture and society silences survivors? And how can we break that cycle, please?
We kind of touched upon it, the first time about how culture is. I have spoken to women in all parts of the world, and I swear to God, it was like we were all married to the same man. And this pattern of where we were talking about before, where women have to be people please, and we people please. We learn it from our mothers. We learn it just from society. We learn it from the television shows, the songs, all of these things. And I think fortunately a lot of that's changing, but still it's so hardcore into we are the peacemakers. We are the givers. We are the caretakers. Right? We do this. And so, well, if we want to be liked and loved, well, then we've got to do that. So it's very deep into the brain, right? It goes very deep into the brain. And because it's generational, it's a hard pattern to break because then you've got your mother or your grandmother or your aunt. Well, what do you mean you're leaving him? Why don't you just stay? I've stayed. So you get those kinds of that kind of languaging, I believe. And the same cultural pressure that I've described is in all these countries around the world. It's there. It's how women are treated, period. There'll obviously exceptional women who are lucky enough not to succumb to this, but it is everywhere. And how do we break the cycle? We break the cycle for doing things like what you're doing and what I'm doing, saying this is not the way women deserve to be treated, period. And it
Yes.
doesn't mean, obviously, that we don't love our men. But men would, I just don't get it because men would get so much more out of us if they just treated us kindly. This is a hard struggle because I think we're kind of built with, well, we want to be liked. We want to be shown as we're kind. But women don't understand. I mean, I surely didn't understand. This is, as I was letting him, taking the responsibility, now after all this work, it's like, I didn't know how to say no to him. I was thought, oh, I'm going to lose you if I don't behave.
Mm,
And boy, does that keep you in line, right? So women have to learn that's not healthy. We
yes.
have to learn what healthy relationships look like, the characteristics of healthy relationships, and what unhealthy relationships look like, unhealthy characteristics. Because you need both sides. You need to know, oh, I didn't know that wasn't normal.
Yes.
We,
I think it's actually transgenerational trauma at play because if you look
yes,
back at the history of women, our safety really depended on us conforming, doing things that men wanted us to do because physically we are not as strong as them and they were overpowering us from the get-go. But what I think is really hopeful, I'm praying, is that as we move along through each generation, I think women are becoming stronger and stronger and learning how to break that pattern of conditioning. But it really does involve and what is necessary is this generation to look at their daughters right now and to
absolutely.
make a decision. And I think we're in this, very weird time right now where there's a lot of return to like the trad wives and like the old traditional, like you're supposed to be barefoot in the kitchen with, being pregnant. I think that it's so important now that we educate young girls that they have a voice, that they have rights, that they can create healthy boundaries. And when they do this, they can realize a much fuller life and be able to seek out like minded partners and
Yes,
mates that will respect them for who they are. Let's
so
pivot
true.
just for a second. Let's talk about forgiveness because that's a tough one.
It is.
Forgiveness of self or other, it played a big role in your healing journey. How do you guide clients to approaching forgiveness?
Well, it's exactly what you said. It's a very tough subject. And there's 2 things, like you were just saying. It's just like there's forgiveness of yourself and there's forgiveness of the other person. So, regarding forgiveness of the other person, that really is gonna depend on what the person did and how you feel about it. I would never ever say you have to forgive to go forward. I don't think it's healthy. I know that a lot of people will say you do that. I think that what's much more important is that you learn to forgive yourself. That's where you break free of the prison that has been, saying like, "Oh, I should have known. Why did I do that? I'm so stupid." The whole litany of putting yourself down, and that's where the compassion realism comes in. That's so important. Self-compassion, self-kindness is so critical during these stages to be able to forgive yourself, to let go of what you didn't know. We have to accept we didn't know. Nobody in their right mind would have gone into a toxic, scary, terrorizing relationship had they known.
Exactly. I've always had a problem with the word forgiveness until I read this book called Forgive for Good by Dr. Luskin. He's a Stanford professor. And the way that he couched it was life changing for me. Basically, he termed forgiveness as a lingering resentment that circles around your head like a low flying airplane that can never land. And he termed forgiveness in a way that was more about letting go of that resentment and how that frees you. So that doesn't mean you're condoning any behavior. What that person did to you was wrong. Period. End of story. I don't care.
Absolutely.
There is a definite morality to this whole thing. You don't have to condone that behavior, but by letting it eat away at your soul and housing that resentment in your body is toxic.
It
And so
is.
if you can look at forgiveness as a loving act of kindness for yourself to let go of what they did to you, then you can move forward. And I think that's so powerful. And it sounds like that's a lot of the work that you're doing. And you're doing it through a self compassionate lens, which I think is beautiful.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because if you're, how I talking about before about negativity begets negativity. So if you're constantly in the state of getting back, that means you're still you've lost your power again. This is all about losing your power. So you've lost your power again as you're just like, well, how can I get back? And which is how I was in the very beginning, because I didn't have the skills. And that's okay to have to go through that pattern, but it'll still hold you back if you don't let it go and forgive yourself and be compassionate to yourself to move forward.
Yes, absolutely. And I just encourage people go and read that book. It was really
Yes,
transformative for me. I really helped me understand that forgiveness is more about letting go than it is about condoning any kind of behavior. And
yeah.
you can move forward. He did a lot of work on the Protestants and the Catholics in Ireland and
Mhm.
all of that long-standing feud and how much that resentment kept fueling more and more fights and skirmishes. And he did a lot of work to actually help reduce that violence between the two groups. And brilliant stuff, just really amazing. So, as someone who rebuilt her life from the ground up, what advice would you give to women who are just beginning their journey of leaving a toxic relationship? How did they even start?
Get support. again, just don't do this alone. I would, if you can, highly advise getting a good qualified trauma therapist. You mentioned about having a good connection, but I really think getting a good connection with a trauma therapist would be much advised.
Oh, yes, of course.
And there are a lot of groups on Facebook, and I know they're supportive. I've seen them. I would just advise about what is the group doing? Because I've looked at them from an observer point of view. I had already pretty much healed and stuff like that. And they're trashing the ex, and they're just going, it's all negative. I had to leave the group even though I was healed because there was too much negativity.
Mhm.
Now, for sure, you need to get that out. You need to express yourself. But then there's a point where it's not going to be helpful because you'll stay in that negativity. It's just like where you're talking about forgiveness, where if you're staying in that negative energy of resentment and this and that, you're not going to be able to move forward. So be very careful when you're doing that. Read books, read The Verbally Abusive Relationship. There are a lot of other books. Get connected with people who are going to uplift you to where you want to go, as opposed to staying in by how badly you were treated, how this. We were all badly treated. And you will move faster going forward if you go and forward in the positive direction. You're not going to get there right away. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. And everyone's situation is different. How you grew up, your experiences, where you were in the world, all of this will matter. But the most important thing is that you can do it. And those, even if you don't believe the mantra, I didn't have a plan B for that escape. There was no plan B. I didn't even know I didn't have a plan B. I just knew this was going to work. And the same thing, having that deep belief that, God, my life looks like blankety blank right now. But you know what? I can take a step forward and I can take another step forward. Yeah, I don't know what boundaries means, but I'll find out. I don't know what my values are, but I'll find out. Just having that openness to learning to move forward and making sure that you're surrounded by kind people who support you.
Absolutely. And I would say anyone who's in a financial situation where they might not think that they can leave, there are so many women's shelters out there. There's so many organizations that are open to helping women get back onto their feet. So that just requires a little bit of searching around. You certainly can do that. If you're actually in physical danger, you can do the hand signal of putting your thumb in and then your fingers over that and giving that to anybody that you might see on the street, especially if you need help right away. Getting into a safe space, I think, is the first big step for anybody coming out of an abusive relationship.
Oh,
You'd be surprised how many people would want to help you. Even if you have family members who are encouraging you to stay, there's always going to be somebody who's going to say, nope, that is not okay for you. And you need to leave that. And I can help you do that. Then getting into therapy. If there's a financial barrier to therapy, there's a group called the Open Path Collective. It's wonderful. They have a whole group, a collective group of therapists who offer either free or very, very low cost therapy to individuals who cannot afford it. You can also look, if you, like in California, we have Medi-Cal. If you are very low income, you can go and seek and find a therapist through there as well. And so there's a lot of ways to be able to
yes.
get help. Community mental health centers,
Mhm.
and certain community mental health centers are really wonderful because they not only provide you therapists, they provide help linking you with housing, linking you with financial aid, trying to get job information for you so you can find meaningful work. So there's plenty of people out there who really want to help, especially women and children find health and safety and, you know, a removal from that toxic environment. So, Rosie, you've written, spoken, and coached globally. What's one story of transformation from your clients that has deeply touched you?
Yeah. I wanna share this story because it has lots of aspects to it. So this is actually a friend of mine who I ended up coaching, and she was telling me, she was living on the East Coast at the time, and she met this guy online, which is really common these days, and she was just he was just wonderful to her. He was so kind and just treated her like a queen, and that's how she wanted to be treated. And he says, "Look," he came out to visit her, and he says, "I want you to come back with me. I mean, I just wanna be with you all the time." So before she knew it, she had sold everything, put what she could in her car, and drove across the United States to Washington State and moved in with him. And I'm listening to her because now I'm not at the stage of coaching her yet, okay, but the bells were ringing in my head. And she says, "Yeah, he wants me to help him with his business because she was a speaker on stage, successful entrepreneur, a dynamite personality, just a dynamite personality." And so she said, "Yeah, and he wants me to do this, and then he wants me to travel with him because he has this business." And I go, "Okay." And I go, "Well, what about you?" He goes, "Well, I'll just do that on the side." So already, I want people to see the pattern that happens, right?
Mm.
The pattern that happens. And so I go, "Okay." And so I started to just try to bring to her attention what things were happening. Again, she didn't
Mhm.
ask for my advice yet or for my
Mhm.
coaching. And then one time he grabbed her hair, pulled her hair. That's not a good sign, okay? And then she called me, "Rosie, I need help." I go, "Okay." And that was probably about a month and a half into the relationship. And she says, "I don't know what to do. Hey, we got engaged." Oh, so this is another pattern where everything goes it's called love bombing, where
Yes.
everything is good and everything is sweet and they say all the right words, and if you've felt that you grew up and you didn't have enough love in your life and you're finally finding somebody who gives this to you, it's just like honey to you. It's so sweet and it feels good. But
Mhm.
if it's really fast, I mean, some marriages, I know, they got married a month later and they've lasted for 20 years. But there are warning signs here. Everything was really fast and it's all about him and you just start to disappear. She could not, I swear, sh this may sound gross, she could not go to the bathroom with the door closed.
Oh my goodness.
So she goes, "I'm getting out of here." I go, "Okay." So she leaves and I'm talking to her in the car. She goes, "He started to follow me. He wants me back. He loves me." I go, "What are you gonna do?" She goes, "I don't know." I go, maybe he needs some time away." And as I was coaching her, just trying to bring alive what was healthy and what wasn't healthy. But the dynamics of these kinds of personalities are very strong, right? It's very strong. And so she goes back. I knew she was gonna go back. I could feel that she was gonna go back. So she went back. And then, "Rosie, I need you." I go, "You deserve to be treated with kindness. You deserve a man who respects you. You are a dynamic woman." I had to remind her who she really was deep down, and I had to keep reminding her. And we plotted her second escape, which was the final escape. This happened within 2, 2.5 months of the love of her life, so she thought, to this being entrapped, how everything happened so quickly. She sold everything. She didn't have a home. She had just what was in her car. He wanted her to move in with him. He wanted her to do work with him in his business, even though he was quite vague. And she could, "Oh yeah, well I can do my work in the truck while he's doing blah 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 blah," you know. And she made excuses and excuses, and then the mistreatment got bigger and bigger. And even though he said the words, "I love you, you're the love of my life," you have to watch for their actions.
Of
And so
course.
as I was doing this, she just like to this day just thanks me to no end for helping her get out and stay out of that relationship. And she's now with somebody and she's doing fabulous because that's who I know who she was. Just
Yes.
on stage, commanding a whole audience of thousands of people.
Yes. I think that there's a really important takeaway from this story. There's many important takeaways, but really want to home in on the love bombing. I think that is the most insidious and the most common tactic that an abuser will employ to bring in the person that they're trying to control. And so it's so important to look at their behavior in the very beginning. If it is just a quote dream come true, you may want to look at that with less rose colored glasses and really look at that as red flag behavior, because somebody who is very sure of himself, has his own life, is, really doing wonderful stuff, will not engage in love bombing, will think about progressing a relationship slowly. And I also think it's really important to look at your need or your desire for that. I think it comes from a very deep place. It's usually an unmet need from your childhood. Usually something happened in your childhood that makes you drawn toward that. And that's, I think, what they look out for in terms of bringing in the person that they want to control. So resolving that need in yourself before you even seek out a relationship is going to be one of your best bets in terms of finding a very healthy relationship. And that's not to say that a man who gives, flowers and is
Mm.
wonderful and is polite, yes, we want that. Yes, that is very important. And I think manners and kindness are everything. But when you see it being too much, too fast, too soon, red flags should go up.
Yeah, and
So,
I just wanna just this is when to really feel into your intuition. Listen to
yes.
yourself, put your hand on your heart, put your hand on your stomach and go, "How's this really feeling to me?" Just closing those eyes, and so I just wanted to add, this is a real key time.
Absolutely. And this is something that I do with my clients all the time, whether it's to resolve, whatever's happening in their life or disordered eating disorders, anything. We really do have this amazing, still small voice inside of us. And I think that we've been conditioned to not listen to it and to not trust it. But it is the most important voice that you can listen to in your life. And you can tap into that by regulating your nervous system first. You have to get out of your head because I like to say, the mind can be a jerk, but the body really loves you. Try to let your mind go offline for a little bit. Slow down your breathing. Get some nice inhales. Make sure the exhale's longer than the inhale and let your body relax. Then close your eyes, go within, and ask yourself the question that is most on your mind. And just wait for the most gentle answer, not the up here, conditioned mind, the answer that's coming from your heart and from your body. And I will tell you this, it is never wrong. Never wrong. Most people who come out of these relationships say, I ignored that voice. Listen to that voice. It's the most important thing you can do.
Yeah.
So, Rosie, what does life look like for you now? What is coming down the pike for you? And how can people come to work with you and find out more about you?
I am with the love of my life. When I landed in the United States, back in the United States, never in a million years, it wasn't even on top of my mind. I told you I couldn't stand to look at a man. And it was funny, I met him online, and he had the same primary value as I did, kindness, and that was the beginning, right? And we said, we never yell at each other, we have mutual respect, we're team players. In fact, it's like, "Oh, you wanna discuss that with me?" Because my ex would never discuss things, he would make decisions on my behalf. We're great team players. I've never felt such love in my entire life. I feel so blessed, and let me tell you, ladies, it doesn't matter how old you are, right? I mean, when I landed, I was in my mid-50s, and I've been here for quite a while now, and it's just undescribable, the love I feel for this man and the love I feel from him and how true it is, and it's worth everything. And my desire is for women to be able to experience that love, that kind love, right? It has to be that kind love. There is a difference.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you'll your life will just expand. So
I love
as
it.
we go through this, just know that you deserve to be treated with kindness, and it starts first by being kind to yourself. That's the pattern. So you can reach me at the loveisKindnetwork.com. I have lots of gifts for you there. There's a little uh, booklet you can get how you can get into a kind relationship. And then there's something else I want everybody in the world to get. It's called the Love is Kind Pledge. This is something my daughter and I wrote. And you can view it as the beginning steps of a mantra, right? I am worthy. I am enough. I deserve to be treated with kindness. I have a voice and my voice matters. All these short phrases, and to abide by that and just remind yourself of who you want to become if you're not there yet.
I love this. And we will have that link in the show notes and all of her other links and information for you all. Rosie, thank you so much. Your story is really inspiring, and I hope it helps people who might be trapped in relationships that are very, very harmful for them find their way towards health, stability, and kindness. So thank you, Rosie.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, and thank you everyone for joining me. I am looking forward to our next exciting interview, and I really hope you join me next time. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the ANEW Insight Podcast. Please remember the content shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anew.insight and at anew-insight.com under the ANEW Insight Podcast tab. And follow us on our socials at my.anew.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.